Everybody, and welcome back to FSI DFS. I am McKinley412, and today we're looking at this massive 13-game slate on Friday for DraftKings. Once again, we got quite a bit of weather that we have to be paying attention to. It was real ugly last night, especially in that Philly game, but going to be pretty similar here tonight. I think there's like 6 or 7 games that could have a rain threat to it. A couple of them a little bit more dicey than the others. Baltimore, certainly one of them. New York Mets. Just a lot of the East Coast. The East Coast is seeing a lot of just scattered showers, thunderstorms all throughout the day today. Might dissipate. It might, flare up closer to lock. So just please pay attention to the weather before you enter in all of your lineups. So we'll go through the pitchers, talk a little bit about the bats. I don't have a whole lot of time today, but so we'll just kind of go through the pitchers, talk about them, and the bats will kind of fill in like as I'm talking. It's a slate where I think there's a lot of options, and I'm kind of really liking this mid-tier more than anything. Obviously, there's a great spot up here with Dylan Cease up at the top, but I think I'm going to be spending a lot of my money more on bats in this slate and just kind of sticking closer to the mid-tier with my pitching. So in that high salary tier, I put Cease and Ray Cease. I could not decide which one I liked more. Dylan Cease, I just don't think he's getting enough credit for what he's been able to do. I think he's up to 12 straight starts with 1 or 0 earned runs against, which is just insane. He's got Texas, solid matchup there. And at 10.4K, I mean, he's got the strikeout rate. I think his strikeout rate's at 33% when I was doing, my research. 33% strikeout rate, tops on the entire slate. 10.4K, he's the best real life pitcher. He's got a fine matchup here. 10.4. If you want to make him your SP1, awesome. If you want to kind of stick into that mid-tier, which I'm going to be talking about later, totally fine with that too. And then kind of use that extra $2,000 for some higher price bats. I don't think he's going to fail at all in this spot. I mean, we're looking at 10.4K. You're looking for like 25 around there DK points, and he can certainly get there. You just got to make sure that he is getting some of those strikeouts. You can see he had 2 games here where he had a low strikeout rate and he wasn't able to get there. But all the other games, he was able to get there just fine. He hasn't faced Texas so far this season, but we'll see. Robbie Ray, he is kind of like the 1A, 1B kind of guy here. He's been pitching fantastic outside of these previous 2 games against Houston. Houston absolutely torched him, but the Angels are not Houston offensively. Angels are much, much worse. So take away those Houston games, and you can kind of see he has been fantastic. He can have those ceiling games of 10, 11, 12 strikeouts. It's not uncommon to see that. We see 3 of them right here, just within the past month and a half or so. So he's certainly got that ceiling. He can also provide a nice floor. The Angels strike out a lot, and the best part of Robbie Ray, on top of all the ceiling and everything, he's $1,500 cheaper than Dylan Cease. So 8.9K, you can put him into like all of your lineups just fine. No salary issues there. And that's kind of why I was debating putting him over Dylan Cease, just because of that ceiling, just because of that fantastic salary savings. So Robbie Ray, Dylan Cease, kind of mixing right there. The rest of this top salary tier, I don't have a whole lot of excitement about. Valdez, he can certainly get the strikeouts, but Cleveland, they don't strike out a whole lot as a team. And he's 9.9K. That is just really pricey. Cortez, same thing. He's going up against St. Louis, a team that just does not strike out often, and he's 10.1K. If I'm going to be paying up to this 10K spot, I'm probably just going to bump up 300 more and get to Dylan Cease. So Valdez, Cortez, they're not fades by any mean. I just don't have really too much interest, not too much interest in Cortez, limited a little bit more in Valdez, but not too much, honestly. Walker, he's kind of really the only other guy that I'd have kind of some interest in this top tier. Walker going up against Atlanta. Atlanta does strike out a lot. The only issue is that Walker has one of the lower strikeout rates on this slate. I think he's at like a 19 or 20% strikeout rate. It is not very good. You can kind of see his whole game log here is just littered with 3, 4, 5 strikeout games. He can't have those ceiling games for sure, but for the more likely than not, he's going to be dabbling in that 5 strikeout range. And at 9.1K, he's more expensive than Robbie Ray in a tougher matchup than Robbie Ray. Why would you go Taijuan Walker when you could just go to Robbie Ray? Our guys throwing out that top tier. Sorry, I'm all over the place here. Cleveland, don't worry about that right there. It's not Bieber, it's not McKenzie. It's they have a guy going in his MLB debut. Our top tier though, Gonsolin, Manea, Dodgers, and San Diego. Those two offenses, I'm not really going to want to be targeting, especially pitchers that don't really excite me on a regular slate. And now that they're 9.7 and 9.4K, GPP at best. And then Tyler Mahle going up against Toronto, fly balls. I could see Toronto certainly hitting the ball out of the park quite a bit. So that's the top tier. Salary wise, it's going to be race. Dylan Cease, Robbie Ray, and then it's kind of the rest. In this mid tier, I love this mid tier. I think that KLUBER, Lauer, Berrios, and Gray all certainly should have some interest, should have some ownership here tonight. Josiah Gray, we'll just kind of start at the top salary wise, and then we'll go my rankings. Josiah Gray's 8.5K. Really, you're looking for the strikeouts with this guy. He's got the second highest strikeout rate on the entire slate. I think he's close to like 28%. That 30%, that's like your, or at least for me, 30%, like that's the elite category. I mean, he's right there at that elite category with the strikeout rate. He's got a tough matchup though, going up against Philadelphia. But again, if he can rack up 7, 8 strikeouts, 9 strikeouts, who knows what, he could be just fine. He has faced Philadelphia already twice this season, and he's averaged 25 DK points in them. So Josiah Gray, I certainly could have some interest in there, especially in GPPs. Corey Kluber, he's a right-handed pitcher going up against Detroit, and he's only 8,200. Love it. I mean, sign me up right there. You don't have to say anything else. He had a fantastic 10 strikeout game in his last start out. He's not going to get 10 strikeouts in this game against Detroit. But one thing he doesn't do is he doesn't walk anybody. He's got the lowest walk rate on this entire slate. I think his walk rate's only like 2 or 3%, which is just phenomenal. So he's not going to burn you at all. He's going to do just fine. I think he's going to get the strikeouts. Again, it's Detroit. They're just terrible against right-handed pitching. So Kluber, love him. Eric Lauer, again, another high strikeout possibility kind of guy. He's been down a little bit in his past couple of starts. But he does have that strikeout upside. Cincinnati, not a team to be feared with, not a team to be feared about, not scared about Cincinnati. So I don't mind Eric Lauer there. And then Berrios going up against Minnesota. Berrios sub 8K, always have some interest in Berrios, especially if he's sub 8K. And again, a guy that can certainly get you some strikeouts, a really high ceiling when he is on. You can see he had a 13 strikeout game against Philadelphia here. But just more, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 strikeout games kind of littered throughout. So Minnesota, they don't strike out a whole lot, but still a sub 8K for Berrios that can certainly get up to that double-digit strikeout mark. I want some interest in there. So I kind of rank them. Kluber, a right-hander going against Detroit, who just doesn't walk anybody, limits damage. He can certainly get the job done. He's my top guy in that mid-tier. Lauer, high strikeout rate kind of guy going up against Cincinnati, an offense that I'm not scared about at all. Berrios, super high ceiling guy with the strikeouts, and Gray, kind of rounding things out. So I really like these 4 in this mid tier. You can kind of go whichever way you want. And right here, I would put Robbie Ray over all of them. Robbie Ray is probably my favorite pitcher on the entire slate. But if you go with like a Ray and Kluber in your lineup builds, I think you end up with like 4.1K remaining for all of your bats. So go Ray, go Kluber, and yeah, you end up with 4.1K remaining for the remainder of your bats. You can pretty much fit in whoever that you want from there. Herman Marquez, rounding things out in this mid-tier for me. He's fine. No issues going up against Arizona, I believe. He's there. Nothing wrong with it. These Cleveland pitchers are really messing me up here when I'm trying to go down the list. Where are we at? All right, we're down to the 7K range. So in the cheap tier, I got Gibson, Keller, Anderson, and then Otto. Gibson kind of rose to the top, mainly because he's going up against Washington. He doesn't have a whole lot of strikeout upside to him, but he can pitch well. He's proven it so far in a couple of games this season. Washington, we know, don't have Soto, don't have Bell. They just don't have a lot of pop in their bats anymore. They just don't have a lot of strong hitters at this point. So really any pitcher that's going up against Washington, from here on out for the remainder of the season, given that, they have some capability of being an MLB pitcher, I'm going to have a little bit interest in, especially at 7K, Kyle Gibson, probably my favorite in this low cheap tier. After him, it's going to be Keller going up against Baltimore. Keller's been pitching phenomenally as of late. It's kind of gone a little bit under the radar. He's been striking some guys out. He provides a pretty decent floor. He was all the way up to 8K in his last start going up against Philadelphia, and he went 6 innings, only allowed 1 earned run. Didn't strike out a whole lot of guys, but you know, he was able to limit the damage. Now he's going up against Baltimore. He got that big decrease in his salary. I think this is a pretty big rain game, so be aware of this as you think about putting Keller into your lineups. Ian Anderson, I have ranked below Keller. Kind of up and down season for Anderson. He's had some games where he's been fantastic. He's had some games where he's really struggled. He has not really faced the super strong bats as of late. You know, Arizona, the Angels, 2 games against Washington. So you know, his recent logs look pretty good, but you know, he's struggled so far on the season. He's got an ERA close to 5. Now he's going up against the Mets. We talked about them yesterday in the video. The Mets against right-handed pitching have the 2nd lowest strikeout rate in the league, and they have like the 2nd best offensive metrics against right-handed pitching. So we love the Mets. The Mets are actually my favorite GPP play. I don't think many people are going to be on them. We'll see. But I absolutely love the Mets as a top GPP play here on Friday night. Glenn Otto, he kind of rounded out the thing. A right-handed pitcher going up against the White Sox. The White Sox continue to make me frustrated. You know, these guys, they're such a good, team on paper. You look at the names, you look at their offensive talent, and they just can't do anything, especially a guy making his MLB debut yesterday. A left-handed pitcher at that. But still, they struggle against right-handed pitching already. So Glenn Otto, he's just kind of a scrap guy if you want to go there in some like 150 lineups. Feeds on the slate, I already talked about Molly. Dakota Hudson going up against the Yankees, just don't have any interest in there. Duggar for Detroit, nope. Garcia, not really any interest. And then Gaddis. Gaddis is the Cleveland pitcher. I didn't even look to see how much he's going to cost here. He is not even in, and that's why it's happening. He's not even in the DK player pool here. But Gaddis for Cleveland, he is a big dude. I think he's 6'7", 260. Big pitcher for sure, but I think that Houston can certainly get to him. I'm always interested in guys making their MLB debuts, going up against elite offenses, I'm interested in the offenses. It's kind of what I mean with Houston. Risky plays, it's Gonsolin Manea, LA Dodgers, San Diego, decent pitchers, but just brutal matchups, and they're pretty expensive. Kramer going up against Pittsburgh. I mean, anybody against Pittsburgh, you kind of want to have a little bit of interest in, but Kramer, he's really been struggling, so I think it's kind of risky. And then Winkowski going up against KC, again, a team that's, not going to scare you off. He's kind of like Kramer going up against KC. Doesn't really scare you off, but am I excited about playing him? Absolutely not. And then just no interest in Cortez, just far too pricey for me. Bumgarner and Greinke, they're just past their prime, just no interest there. And then Sandoval for the Angels. So I'm just looking at the clock here. I do got to get running, but you can kind of see on the sheet here, my favorite plays, bats wise. I love Houston. Again, they're going up against Gaddis in his MLB debut for Cleveland, so I have a lot of interest there. Toronto, I certainly think that they can get some pop in their bats. Going up against Molly allows a lot of fly balls, so certainly could be a great GPP play there. Milwaukee, I think, might have the highest implied run total on the slate. I'll have to double check that, but I mean, they're close to like 5.5. So Milwaukee, they're very affordable. And really, if you go with like the Ray and fill in one of those mid-tier guys, you can fit in whoever you want in terms of bats wise. San Diego, with all their additions, are always going to be in play regardless of who they're going against. Gonsolin's been struggling as of late, so maybe they bump them up a little bit more. The Yankees, again, always going to be in play as a team. GPP, I already mentioned the Mets. I absolutely love them going up against Anderson. Anderson's really struggled so far on this season. He's been up and down, but now he's going up against the Mets, elite against right-handed pitching. Philadelphia going up against Gray. I have him GPP just because Gray strikes out so many guys, and Philly can strike out quite a bit actually. But Philadelphia also has that super strong pop in their bats, a lot of home runs. So maybe you want to go with guys like Kyle Schwarber, go with Hall, get some 2 power left-handed bats in your lineup there. Kind of round things out. And yeah, so that's kind of it. I got to get going here so I can upload this video and get going. But again, thanks for watching. Hopefully this kind of guided you in the right direction on where you want to go with your lineups tonight. So as always, good luck in your contests, and we will see you in your next video.